Cheat Code Support Strategist by myheadinthecoudsnotcomingdown. Read by Rat Overlord. Chapter 30 Teamwork. Summary. Our Chaos crew prepares for the cavalry battle. Isuku didn't stop running when he reached the finish line. His lungs were burning, but he could hear the sound of the incoming explosions behind him, and he knew better than to assume that they were all from the remnants of the minefield. His mind switched rapidly between berating himself for being such an idiot and accidentally winning the first round, and trying to come up with some semblance of a plan that could keep him alive until the next round. He scanned the field, mentally screaming in relief when he realized that there was a news camera on the field. He made a beeline towards it and hoped that his plan would actually work. Bullying a quirkless kid in the relative privacy of a prejudiced middle school was one thing, but beating up a kid between rounds on live national television? Even if Katsuki didn't get kicked out of the hero course, there would still be consequences for something like that. So, all Isuku had to do was make sure that Katsuki remembered he was being recorded. Isuku put on the biggest smile that he could manage and ran straight up to the camera, waving as hard as he could. "Hi, Mom!" He was a bit out of breath and knew that Shinso would probably never let him live that down, but the look of frustration on Katsuki's face as he realized there was nothing he could do made it all worth it. The other competitors were starting to trickle through now, and Isuku probably should go find Mei and Shinso in the chaos and make sure that they made it through as well. But, instead, he had another terrible idea that almost put his impulse victory to shame. He noticed Kirishima going up to congratulate Katsuki, which gave him the courage to actually go through with it. Well, that and he'd already gotten himself on Katsuki's kill list, so there's nothing left to lose, right? "Oh, and hi, Auntie!" Isuku beamed into the camera again. "Can you believe I beat Kachan?" Yep, he was gonna die. If Katsuki's quirk affected his eyes instead of his hands, Isuku would have already been dead by the time he hurried over to Mei, who was making a few adjustments on her equipment. Thankfully, though, Isuku had been right in predicting that Kirishima would be able to hold Katsuki back. For now. He'd almost definitely be gunning for him the next round, but he'd also be gunning for the win, which Isuku could use to his advantage. Mei glanced up at him as he approached and immediately started cackling. "Isu-kun! Why didn't you tell me you were planning on adopting Netsu's babies?" Isuku grinned, pushing the whole Katsuki issue in the back burner for the moment. "I wasn't planning on it, but I couldn't just leave you and Shinso alone in the next round, could I?" "Extra credit-kun!" Mei yelled. "Where is he? I need to check on his baby and make sure it's still in optimal condition." "It's working fine, Mei." Both Isuku and Mei jumped a foot in the air as a tired voice suddenly spoke up behind them, and Shinso smirked at them momentarily until he was hit full force with one of Mei's capture nets. His eyes widened as he was wrapped up, and he tried too late to dodge and ended up just falling on the floor instead. "Ow." "Oh, extra credit-kun! I'm so sorry!" Mei fiddled with some of the controls, and the net released, falling into a tangled mess of strings and magnets on the ground. "We didn't even see you!" Shinso grimaced as he sat up and rubbed at his wrist where the net had wrapped around him. "That's kind of the point, Mei. Eraserhead may have mentioned that stealth was a big part of being an underground hero, so I've been practicing." He glared at them. "I think I need to practice dodging too, though, if you two are going to be trying to attack me." That's such an awesome idea, Shinso!" Isuku gushed. "The stealth, not the dodging. Well, the dodging too, but, Isuku's rambling was cut off by both Shinso and Mei's amused looks, and by Midnight, who snapped her whip and called their attention back to the stage. "Hello, children! Congratulations to the 42 of you who are strong and fast enough to move on to the next round." Isuku shuffled awkwardly. Yeah, he won, but he really wasn't very strong or fast. Mostly, he just relied on some technology that was already there, but his hacking counted as a strength, right? Maybe he could just pretend that's what Midnight meant and ignore the fact that she was probably talking about strong muscles and quirks and people like Katsuki and Todoroki. "Everyone gird your loins and prepare for the next test." Midnight snapped her whip as the slot machine-like graphic on the screen behind her finally slowed to a stop. "A cavalry battle! Those of you at the top will suffer the most, but Then you'll find that's the norm here at UA. Isuku breathed a small sigh of relief. He had never been at the top of anything in his life. He was just a support student, or, like Mike said, an underdog here, so obviously a quirkless kid like him wasn't a front-runner. The top two students, like Katsuki and Todoroki, would probably have a pretty hard time in the next round, though. Isuku Midoriya won the qualifier! Midnight snapped her whip at him, and Isuku froze. So he'll be worth 10 million points to the upcoming round. Isuku only paid half attention as Midnight explained the rest of the point values. He was at the top? He supposed to made sense, what with him winning the obstacle course and everything, but he was just some quirkless support student. How? He was gonna die, wasn't he? And it wasn't even going to be all Katsuki's fault. He could feel the bloodlust radiating off the other competitors, and it felt like he was back on the floor in middle school again, curled up on a ball and protecting his stomach and other organs from beatings. He didn't even see UA students in front of him, just his old classmates jeering about the quirkless Deku, the absolute loser. He'll never be a hero. Someone grabbed his hand and steadied him, and Isuku looked over to see Meg giving him a confident smile as she squeezed his hand reassuringly. He forced himself to take a deep, shaky breath and smiled back. He could do this. He wasn't alone anymore. He had Mei. He had Shinso. He had his analysis. He could show them all that he wasn't just going to sit down and take it anymore. Shinso started sliding away from them, making Mei drop Isuku's hand and grab onto his arm. Just where do you think you're going? Shinso looked between them. I was going to find a team. It's okay, Isuku interrupted. I have a huge target on my back from the 10 million points, so I totally understand if you don't want to work with us, but, if you want to work together, I think we can make it work. Oh, it's not that, Shinso said bitterly. I'm sure you already have a million ideas. It's just, I wasn't sure if you actually wanted to work with me, what with the sports festival being so public, with my quirk being what it is. Going off alone is just a habit at this point. Nobody ever wanted to openly associate with the villain kid, you know. Shinso. Isuku looked at him seriously. You're an idiot. Gee, thanks. Shinso deadpanned. Mei moved to hang off Shinso's arm so he couldn't run away. We're not going to abandon you, she said dramatically. You're our baby! Hatsume! Isuku yelled. Phrasing! Shinso wasn't fazed. Instead, he just glared at her suspiciously. I legitimately don't know if you mean that like I'm your child, the child that you kidnapped, by the way, or if you're referring to me as one of your inventions, and I'm honestly not sure which is worse. We didn't kidnap you! Isuku said indignantly. The corner of Shinso's mouth quirked up. You kinda did, actually. Doesn't matter, Mei declared confidently. It's the second one either way! We made you! Shinso raised an eyebrow skeptically, and Isuku found himself bursting into laughter. She's right, isn't she? Isuku gasped. We did make you into who you are now by preparing you for today. I hate both of you, Shinso said, unimpressed. A small voice spoke up, and the three of them all turned to see Uraraka standing awkwardly behind them. Am I interrupting something? Oh, Uraraka! Shinso, Mei-chan, this is Uraraka. She's a really cool anti-gravity quirk that we used to float the robot I hacked, and she's in Class 1A, and... Isuku slammed his mouth shut as he realized that Uraraka was starting to blush, and he needed to shut up before he revealed exactly how much he knew about her and his classmates. He didn't want to creep out his potential friend, maybe, but... Isuku shrugged awkwardly. Shouldn't you be looking for a team about now? Actually, I was wondering if it'd be alright if I teamed up with you? Uraraka awkwardly picked at the pads of her fingertips. I mean, I'm friends with Ida, but he said that he didn't want to work with friends this round because he wanted to prove himself, which I totally get, but then I thought back to the obstacle course, and you're really smart, so... Isuku cut her off. You do know that I have 10 million points, right? everyone will be trying to take me down. Uraraka nodded as determination filled her eyes. What better way to prove myself, right? Being a female hero, I'm already trying to beat the odds. You're not the only one, Shinso drawled. That's us, the team of underdogs and targets. Speaking of, Iseku turned to Mei. Are you sure you don't want to be in another team, Mei-chan? 10 million is a lot of points. Which just means that all the eyes will be on you! Mei grinned. So come on, 10 million! What's the plan? Iseku looked at their team and analyzed the other teams forming around them. Shinso will be the rider. Shinso's eyebrows shot up. You're joking, right? I'm the biggest one here. Which won't be a problem once we take Uraraka's anti-gravity into account, Iseku pointed out. And the rest of us are all around the same height, so if we hold you, it'll be easy to come up with a balanced formation. But if you're on the bottom, whoever is the rider will be at 2 different levels. Plus, it just makes more sense from a publicity standpoint. Uraraka frowned at that. What does publicity have to do with anything? Everything! Mei piped up. If Extra Credit Kun is the rider, his name will be the one on the screen, and it'll be that much harder to deny that he deserves a place in the hero course when he wins. It'll also highlight my baby's ability to support a hero. You're already in the hero course, Uraraka, Iseku explained. So you don't need to be noticed by teachers as much as Shinso does. And because we're support, that's where we'll be able to showcase our skills the most. Uraraka nodded slowly. Okay, that makes sense. But what are we going to do about your 10 million points? Iseku grinned mischievously. We're going to get rid of them. As always, I hope you enjoyed. Didn't really have any bloopers for this one though, so sorry about that.